Hello, you are listening to The Wellness Project with Des. I'm your host, Desiree, a mental health therapist and holistic wellness coach. On my podcast, I interview experts in the field of mental health and wellness, as well as those who share their firsthand accounts of their mental health journeys. These interviews will give you many tips, tools, and strategies to improve your mental health, as well as give you hope, support, encouragement, and inspiration on your own personal mental health and wellness journey. Thanks so much for being here. I would greatly appreciate it if you took a moment to leave me a review on iTunes and leave the podcast 5 stars on Spotify. It really helps the podcast to grow, which in turn helps me to keep bringing on amazing guests and spreading mental health and wellness education and support. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards holistic well-being, unlocking the full potential of your mind, body, and spirit? If so, I'm thrilled to invite you to my program, the Holistic Wellness Transformation Coaching Program. My one-to-one coaching program is a comprehensive and individualized approach to help you improve your overall well-being. As a holistic wellness coach, I'm here to guide you on a transformative journey to attain balance and harmony in all areas of your life. With personalized coaching sessions, I'll offer guidance and support throughout your wellness journey. Starting with a thorough holistic assessment. We'll dive into your past, habits, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and patterns that may be holding you back and no longer serving you. This assessment forms the foundation for your customized wellness plan. Together, we'll explore the 8 foundational elements of wellness to ensure you feel balanced and aligned with your goals and your values. This program goes beyond the surface, providing you with mental and emotional support. I will help you to manage stress, anxiety, and other challenges such as perfectionism and people-pleasing, offering techniques and strategies to enhance your resilience and your skills. The benefits of this program cannot be overstated. I'll be there every step of the way to support you in achieving balance and harmony in your life, manage stress, and improve your emotional well-being. Nurture healthy connections, create lasting, healthy habits, achieve your goals, and gain confidence in your ability to transform your life. Join me on this journey to holistic wellness. You could go to my website to check out my various packages, and you could go to my Calendly link found in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute consultation call where we will go over the 8 core areas of wellness, as well as your goals and your dream life. Reach out and let's get started on your wellness journey so you can finally live the life you want. Hey there, I'm your host Des, and this is episode number 170 of The Wellness Project. On today's episode, I am speaking with Teresa Carnegie, and Teresa's story is really a great example of how someone can take their mental health and healing into their own hands. Teresa went through a lot of traumatic experiences in a very short amount of time. Her father died of cancer. She was in 3 separate car accidents that were no fault of her own that resulted in numerous concussions, which also led to other complications. A childhood friend died of cancer. And she left her job of 13 years. This all happened in under 2 years. Now, because Teresa went through so much in such a short amount of time, her support system started dwindling. This is a great conversation because so many people struggle with being isolated, not having a support system, not having people that they can lean on or count on or get support from. And Teresa really created that for herself. She went out there and created her own support system. And not only that, she ended up trying a lot of new things, a lot of new experiences, a lot of new modalities, a lot of different therapists and practitioners to find what worked for her, to find what helped her heal. It was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of experimentation. But in the end, Teresa was able to really steer her healing journey. This is a really great conversation because it just goes to show that sometimes you need to try a bunch of stuff before you find what works for you and to not give up until you do. And to try to tap into that inner resilience that's within you. I'm really looking forward to you hearing this conversation, so help me welcome on Teresa. All right, everyone, I am here with Teresa Carnegie. Teresa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really looking forward to it.
I am as well. So I would love if you could get us started by introducing yourself, sharing your story with us. I know that you have said that you experienced a lot of trauma in your life. So if you could take us back and just share your story with your mental health and how you got to where you are today.
I was in several car accidents within 18 months. I had three car accidents that were not my fault. I was getting some treatment at work that was not conductive for getting better. And I lost my dad a week before the first car accident. And I lost my one of my childhood friends about a month and a half after the third car accident. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back was I got scabies while I was trying on clothes at a store. I didn't even know they existed until I got them, and that was horrible. Any one of these things was something I could have dealt with, but because they all came so fast, I couldn't. I just was having a really hard time. And then my naturopath passed away, and my doctor unexpectedly closed her office. Like there was just these little things that just kept almost beating me down, sort of thing. But the thing is, I was told by a psychologist that I had so much happen in such a short period of time that it bubbled up a lifetime of repressed trauma. And it all came nicely to the surface. So I had concussions from the car accidents. By the second car accident, I gained anxiety. By the third car accident, I was having panic attacks. I believed everybody was trying to kill me. So if I was in my doctor's office one day and had a panic attack, that's how I knew what it was, because I thought that it was a danger area. There were so many people in there. I thought because of the fact that the things that were happening gave me the impression, that I was unsafe, right? So as you're getting better, you have little other things that happen. After a few years, there were more car accidents and, just different things like that. It's been a bit of a journey.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. Wow. So a lot of that happened within a 2 year time period.
Yes, it was 18 months from the time my dad passed away to, yeah, that was what it was. I left my job after 13 and a half years. So I just said, here's my 2 weeks notice, went on vacation and never went back. That was a little something I never thought I would do.
Wow. I mean, this is a lot all at once. Even leaving your job of that long is a huge life change. But on top of everything else, I mean, that is a lot of traumatic experiences in a very, very short amount of time. So you did mention that you were having anxiety and panic attacks. What kind of other symptoms were you having as a result of that trauma?
Well, the concussions were a big one. Like it was really hard for me to get over them, basically. The worst concussion was the one a week after my dad died. I was sitting at a red light and a 90-year-old person drove into me and then rebounded and hit me again because they still hadn't hit their brakes. So the concussion was a little bit much. And on top of losing my dad and various different things, it meant stuff like my memory. I couldn't remember things. It's like you walk away and you come back and you realize you left the stove on. I had to start leaving notes all over to lock the door, stuff like that, because I was not doing the basics and I kept falling down. My equilibrium was off and I kept falling. So I sprained each of my pinkies. I ended up with one of my ankles sprained in like something like two or three locations. One day I came home from work and I had such an atrocious headache that my reflexes were really slow. And a water bottle, like 500 milliliter water bottle, fell out of the fridge and landed on my foot and broke my foot. Like it just kept piling on. The anxiety got to a point where I became afraid of the dark. I couldn't leave my house if it was dark. I became afraid of people, is a big way to explain that. I could go, tried to do different things and I really had to work myself up to it. A lot of times I just didn't show up. I made reasons There was always reasons because that's how, your mental health is. You've got a valid reason to not do something.
Mm-hmm. It just sounds like you went through so much. And on top of those traumatic experiences, also the end result of the concussions impacting you as well. I mean, this is all really hard stuff. So, how are you managing it? How are you managing your mental health and how are you healing through these concussions? And I would imagine that it was so extremely frustrating.
It was very previous concussion. My naturopath had helped me with whatever product he had, get better. This one, he passed away shortly after the third car accident. So I kind of felt lost. I had an appointment. I got a message the night before saying, I'm not feeling well. I'll reschedule when I'm feeling better. I'll let you know when I'm feeling better. And then he passed away. Feeling like I didn't have the support because the same thing happened with my doctor. I was driving and I had a panic attack. I just about got hit again and I was freaking out and I went to make a doctor's appointment and the line had been disconnected because she closed her practice unexpectedly. Both of them had cancer. My dad passed from cancer. My childhood friend passed to cancer. It was a lot of grief and feeling like the support wasn't there. The one person I had through the whole thing was my physiotherapist. She's a very gentle soul, and she is like an osteopath type physiotherapist. So, our sessions were very calming and they helped me heal physically, which ended up helping me get through the concussion symptoms. It took a while. What I learned for myself is deal with the emotion side of it all. That's helped with my concussion recovery as well as my mental health. So I, saw an emotion-based therapist. I did somatic experience with my physiotherapist. Now I see a lady who does psychosomatic, so it's a bit deeper somatic experience. And it's allowing me, to keep getting better and better. I haven't had a panic attack since I think it's been over 6 months now. I mean, I'm super excited about that
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's such a huge improvement.
because I didn't have the support. I didn't have the connection. I ended up losing a lot of friends or people I thought were friends. Suddenly, I realized they weren't my friends. So I was really lacking a lot of connection. I went to Australia, New Zealand for a few months and visited a bunch of friends, and that really helped me, visiting with people who wanted to see me. The connection really helped my mental health. It came back, and I just had like a lot more of let's figure this out kind of attitude. Like this is good. But I think it's because it took me so long to figure out what worked for me, and that was the emotion side of it all. My physiotherapist, she took somatic experience years after we had started working together, realized what was working, but it took a while, right? I had two more car accidents in 2021. And so that's why I'm still seeing people trying to work on stuff because the panic attacks and the anxiety, I hadn't fully, worked through them. I was working on it, but I wasn't taking it all seriously. I was kind of trying to, let's hurry up and get better because it's taken me forever kind of attitude. And I didn't dig, I feel like, in a proper way for myself. And when 2021 happened, the two car accidents that the anxiety came back. I didn't want to leave my house again. I thought everybody again was trying to kill me. The dark scared me. So when the dark scared me, it's also things like I can't go to sleep. I can go to sleep. I can't go to bed. So I will sit there in bed and I can't lay down because it's all subconscious, but I can't do it. That was one of the things that came back. I think it was in October. I was in my car in front of some shop. It was nighttime. I'd never been there before. And a guy wearing a hoodie walked in front of my car. He was just a guy in a hoodie. Nothing about him, nothing. He was a guy in a hoodie. My head saw a guy in a hoodie pull a gun on me. I was so scared. Brutal panic attack right then and there. I wanted to just get away. I couldn't believe this happened to me. It made me keep searching for it. I knew I wasn't better. I shouldn't say better. I hadn't got things, to a point where I could live my life. And I tricked myself into thinking I had. So it meant I kept looking. And that's how I found this. new lady that I've been working with. Just kept
Oh,
looking.
okay, great. I'm glad that you did. So it sounds like you found what works for you. Do you have any examples of things that you've tried that did not work for you?
Regular therapy did not work for me. They put me in group therapy. I'm like, did anybody read my file that said I'm scared of people? Because I had panic attacks every time I went to therapy. I went a couple times and just gave up. People think, I was just giving up, and they weren't paying attention to the fact that that was not working for me. I feel like everything worked to an extent that allowed me to build further and further and to find more and more and more. So, it started with to help with the concussion symptoms. I can't think of the word, it's flotation therapy. So you're in that bed of water and it's closed, your senses, everything in your brain just calms right down. It's
Oh, yes,
once,
I've seen that before. Is it like
yeah,
the sensory deprivation?
that's it. Yes, yes. I mean, the first one, you think you're going to die. I can't breathe. I'm going to die. And I think by the third or fourth one again, can't breathe. I'm going to die. But it really upped my meditation game, and that's what I did with the concussion. Is I dealt with a lot of it with by meditating on a regular basis, and that helped calm the brain because the brain was going crazy. All of the I mean, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a psychologist, but all the brain stuff was firing overload.
Oh, I'm sure. And so, what is the emotional work that you did? What did that look like?
Well, first it was the somatic experience with my physiotherapist. And because she's an osteopath type physiotherapist, she kind of moves things around in the body. So when things move, past trauma that's been stuck in your body comes up and you might cry or something, right? So she would do that and she would talk me through it and does it have a color, if I was really freaking out and couldn't face it. That's because at the beginning you can't face it, it's too much, it's overwhelming. And that was the buildup. I had done tapping, I had done or EFT, I had done all these things and they all helped to a certain point, and then the somatic helped, the next level kind of thing. That you just start shaking, you just start crying, and it's just your body releasing some emotion that it's been stuck in your body and it's unnecessary, because most of us repress our emotions, or we did from childhood on. I'm pretty sure most of us grew up being, "Oh, you're fine, it's okay," stuff like that, right? So we never learned how to really process our emotions. I mean, I also did hypnosis, and I found that very scary because the trauma kept, you see it, it's in your head, you're re-traumatizing yourself. Whereas the somatic experience, you're not, because it's just releasing out of your body. You don't have to see anything or face anything. And that is a lot easier. So I started with that. And then when the two last car accidents happened, I don't know, I just, listened to my intuition and I found a emotion-based therapist. I was stunned. I had a lot of releasing with her too, a lot of random crying. We would talk about something and then I'd be like, oh, because I didn't realize I was holding emotion in and about something. Because the talking or the movement with the physiotherapist, it moves things and then that releases things, right? So it got to a point where the therapist said, there's not really much else we can do with talk therapy, basically. And so I went, I'd say, a year before I found this next lady for this somatic experience, but deeper psychosomatic, I think she calls herself. I can't even remember. I just know it really works.
Okay, great. And can you explain what the somatic and psychosomatic therapy, what a session kind of looks like?
The psychosomatic that I go to now, I actually just lay on a bed, one of those massage tables with my head in the little hole. And she doesn't even really touch me, but whatever she does, she helps move energy around and it helps release emotion. Sometimes I have some really good cries, and other times I have some really good shakes. Like I am just really shaking the body. It's amazing when you leave and you feel lighter. Like I said, I haven't had a panic attack in months, and my anxiety is even better. And this is what's helping me now. Like I said, I keep finding things that go more and more. And I think the best thing I can say is don't stop looking. If you want to help yourself, keep looking. People will suggest something and it might not work for you. it's okay. You can, find something that works for you. The psychosomatic, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will think, oh, that's just really weird woohoo stuff. They're allowed to think that. It works for me. So I'm not about to let that stop me from going.
No, absolutely. That's something I always say that what works well for one person may not work well for you. So,
Yeah.
exactly, to keep trying different modalities, keep trying even different therapists, different kind of practitioners. So, I'm really glad that you ended up finding something that works for you. So, it sounds like you have a very supportive team. Did you receive, you talked about not really having a lot of support from your friends, kind of losing friends. Did you have any sort of support from your loved ones at all through all of this trauma?
I think in the beginning, people were. When it lasted longer and longer and longer, you lose a lot of support. I mean, there aren't a lot of family members that even contact me. I don't know why. Maybe during my process, I've done something or said something. I don't know. Not something we talked about. My mom has been probably the most supportive, and even she some days is like, oh my goodness, like, what are you doing now? I think it's hard for people to be supportive without being judgmental.
No, yeah, and just being on that kind of side of it, do you have any advice for people, for loved ones in ways in which they can provide support?
It's kind of something I've seen on the internet. When a person is struggling with mental health and you say, let me know if you need help, or call me if you need help, or why didn't you call me? That person is not going to call you. They don't think they have the support. They want you to call them, they want you to check in with them. If a person is really struggling, they don't have the capacity to always reach out and explain themselves, even sometimes that comes up, right?
Yes, that's a great point. I think that when people are struggling, when they're depressed, when they're anxious, they kind of already have a lot on their plates, and it's not always realistic that they're going to be the ones to reach out for that support.
Exactly. The one thing I have to say though too is I didn't really talk about this yet, but one of the things I recognized when I had the first concussion, so it was 1 week after my dad passed away. I was grieving, I was struggling, and then I had this really bad concussion. That's kind of like I had two concussions in one. So I went from going to working 40 plus hours a week. I was in two night classes each semester. I went from that to sitting in my apartment in the dark, no TV, no lights. It was a lot. I was very go, 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 and all of a sudden I had to do nothing. What helped me was I ended up purging my entire home. So, I started with a drawer because if you're struggling with a concussion, one thing is even making a decision can hurt your head because, your brain is injured, it's bruised, and you're actually making it do something. So I started with, a drawer in the bathroom, and that lasted me an entire week to purge through that drawer, and I just kept doing that when I wasn't getting better and I was still struggling and I was having a hard time and I left my job. I started writing. I found something I always wanted to learn, and I now had time to learn it, and I had no expectations. I was so tired of expectations on me. I didn't have the capacity to try. I couldn't jump back into the way my life was before. I was struggling. So by having something new to learn, something fun and exciting that I wanted to do, there was no expectations to how much I needed to do, where I needed to be in the process. Did I forget something I learned yesterday? Oh, well, that's okay. I'm learning something new. Like it was amazing. It just took so much pressure off me and it added fun, which is something I think we all forget about.
Yes, absolutely. So, what kind of stuff were you writing?
So the first things I started writing were I'd go to like coffee shops and bakeries and I would try their hot chocolate. I would try, a baked product. I would, just different things like that. And then I would write about it on my website. And it was, what I tried, how I thought. And I found like things that the city does, and I didn't even know it. I found out about what was it, like these challenges, and it was like cake challenge, pie challenge. So all these different places would take part in it, trying to win, these challenges throughout the city that were put on by this foodie website or critic. I'm not sure. And so I didn't even know those were things. And they were so fun to go and try something new and go to a new place. And then I would write about it. And that got me out of the house and it got me trying things. And that also helped me find new things, because then you're always looking for new things because you realize how much fun it is and you realize there's no pressure. When it came to treatments, I was a little bit more open about trying something because I had already been doing all these new things. When you do new things, you bring on more new things.
That sounds so beneficial. When did you start realizing that this writing practice was actually helping you? And was this kind of a regular practice that you put into place, or did you make this a daily practice?
I kind of made it a daily practice. See, I also ordered like subscription boxes and I would try all the products and it was so much fun. And then, so I was writing little bits every day about different things I tried, not necessarily publishing every day or every week, just writing in little pieces, little spurts. It's interesting because I met a woman online and she said to me, "You're a writer." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not a writer. I've never gone to school. I have no experience." And she's like, "You have a website that says differently." And I was like, huh, never thought of that. And she told me about the NaNoWriMo in November writing. It's a global writing challenge. You write 50,000 words of a novel in the month of November. I didn't do it, but it was kind of fun to meet people who are creative because I came out of a very logical job. I did inside technical sales in the plumbing industry, a lot different than writing. And I spent my whole life believing I wasn't creative. So to meet people who were creative and who did these things and they'd been doing it their whole lives, it was amazing. I had such a great experience getting to know them and learning their process and stuff like that. It was a whole different type of people, a whole different group of people that I was not used to being around. It was fun. I kept putting myself into writer's block because I kept thinking, oh, I'm not doing it the same way as them, so I'm not good enough. I was new. I had no knowledge. I had no experience, and there was a lot of imposter syndrome. And I couldn't go to every week to these write-ins where, everybody sits in a coffee shop and writes together. Couldn't do it every week, but it was nice to go every once in a while and see people and say hi. And they weren't judging me because they didn't know how I used to be. So there was no, oh, you should be this way or you should do this different. And I met a lady who got me to join another writing group local. It made me think of self-publishing. Like I was talking to all these people that were published in self-publishing, and I was like, okay, I want to do that. Learning to write fiction, which is what I really want to do, at the same time as learning to self-publish was overwhelming, too much. So what I did was took two articles I had written for other people's websites that were related in content and published that in a little tiny book. And I hired a graphic designer for like a cover designer. I hired an editor and I self-published it for free. I put it up for free in the world. That was an experience and that was fun and something I never thought I would do. So it was even more fun.
Oh, this is great. So it sounds like that not only was the writing practice itself beneficial and made improvements on your mental health, but just also getting you out into new experiences, meeting new people, making new connections, really pushing yourself to do things and learn things that you've never known before.
Yeah. I think it was a year after, or a year and a half after everything happened. I started January with a promise that every week I was going to try something new, whether it was food, restaurant, park, activity. I was just going to try something new, see something new, go somewhere new. Every week I had to do that. And that was a big boost in my mental wellness. Big boost. It got me out of my little bubble and expanded my outlook, I guess.
I love that. That's such a great practice for people, especially making it a challenge for yourself because, with kind of depression and anxiety and these kind of traumatic experiences. We know that, like you said, you were staying home a lot. It sounds like you were kind of isolating. You were kind of
Mm.
losing the connections in your life. So it's so important to make those valuable connections. And we heal in community and to kind of create that community for yourself and to push yourself to leave your house and push your limit in a gentle way, not to push yourself too far, but to really challenge yourself to do something new. I feel like could be really beneficial for a lot of people, but it's hard. It's really hard to do that. So, how did you find that kind of resilience and determination to push yourself?
I didn't really think too far or plan too far. It was right now. When the first car accident happened, and like I said, I was so upset. I'm like, how could this happen to me a week after my dad? Like, I can't do this. I can't deal with all this. And all I kept telling myself was, what decision can I make that's best for me today? Some days that is isolating, staying in, getting rest. Other days it's going out and finding a new coffee shop, or I love hot chocolate. So it's finding a new place to go try a hot chocolate. Other times it's getting out, finding a new park to go walk. I think I tried a new fruit even. I loved it. I can't even remember which one it was now, but they don't have to be big, ooh, monumental. I went bungee jumping, that's just going a little far. You have to start with the little steps. That's what's going to get you into where you need to be. You might not be a person who jumps off a bridge or, goes ziplining. That might not be who you are. So don't put those expectations on you. Be who you are. Meet yourself there. Do something like wear two socks that don't match. That can be really stressful for people.
Oh, definitely. I love that, how you said it's just those little steps, because really the little steps can have such a huge impact and such a great payback, right? So I love that you said that. Also, that's something I always tell my clients too, is to really think about. I like the way that you phrased it, but something I always say is to think about, what am I capable of today? What can I
Yeah,
do today? How can I push myself a little bit today? It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but just maybe like a half a percent, 1%, 2%. What is that small little step that I can take that I am capable of in this moment?
exactly. It doesn't have to be life altering for that baby step, or that small step. It doesn't need to be on par with somebody else. It just needs to be what works for you and what's going to be the best thing for you.
Exactly. Well, Teresa, this has been so amazing. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice for our listeners?
Try something new. Just keep doing what's right for you today.
Absolutely. I fully agree. And can you share where everyone can find you?
Yeah, sure. My website is dapsile.com, dapsile.com. And my Instagram is Teresa, Teresa underscore Carnegie, Carnegie .author.
Perfect. And I will have all of those links in the show notes. Teresa, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your
Thank you.
story with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed today. Thank you.
I really hope that you liked this episode and gained a lot of value from it. If you did like this episode, please share it on social media. You can tag me at The Wellness Project with Des on Instagram and at According to Des on Facebook. If you do enjoy my podcast and gain value from it, I would greatly appreciate your support. You can show your love and support by buying me a coffee. This will help my podcast to grow and in turn will help me to keep bringing on amazing guests. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/the wellness project with Des to show your support. All books written by or recommended by my amazing podcast guests are listed on my Amazon storefront. Go to the link in the show notes to check out those books. I would love to extend an invite to you to become a part of my community. You can do this through Facebook, where we will be discussing this episode. I would love for you to share your insights, any aha moments, any thoughts or ideas you would like to contribute. You can contribute in the discussion taking place in my Facebook group, and it's a great place to connect with me because I am in there every day with mental health and wellness content, discussions, reflections, journal prompts. It's a fun and supportive place to be. You can find the group at facebook.com/groups/according to Des, and that link will also be in the show notes. You can also check out more of what I'm doing on my website, accordingtodes.com. You'll find a lot of wellness blogs, written interviews, detailed podcast show notes, and my shop, where you will be able to find workshops, my self-care course, digital downloads, ebooks. There's a lot going on my website, so make sure you check that out at accordingtodes.com. And while you're there, join my email list to stay in the know about what I have going on and available for you. When you sign up, you will get your free ebook, The 5 Stress Reduction Techniques to help you feel more relaxed. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you next week. So until then, I hope you have a calm and peaceful week.